Parry, you're a plank. Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to Two Mics on the warm-up right here on Talk Sport. It's an action-packed show this morning with two massive games kicking off in the next 2 hours. Up in Glasgow, it's the first Old Firm derby of the season, and we're going up to Ibrox shortly to find out what's going on. Then, of course, it's the rented property derby at the London Stadium between beleaguered West Ham and Spurs, fresh from their £10,000 dinner party thanks to Maurizio Pochettino. I'm sure they'd rather have a few more points. Is 2 wins out of 5 really good enough for the coming team? 08717 22 3344. Coming up later in the show, we'll be giving Porky a personality test, which I'm sure he'll probably fail, and we'll have a 1 minute moan as well. You're listening to the Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. And it is a crunch day for a number of teams in the Premier League,
Certainly
including mine.
Yes,
including mine, Everton.
Indeed. Ronald de Koeman, I don't care, who, as he was saying yesterday, apparently is saying, look, calm down, there's no need to worry, because I've been here before. And he says he was in a crisis at Valencia, and he managed to get out of it.
Yeah, you know, I couldn't give a flying fig about what happened at Valencia.
God, you said
that. You know, for Mr. Koeman to say, you know, I have been in crisis before.
I don't care.
No, I don't care. I really don't care. I only care about Everton. And I have to say, you know, I think there's a bit of thrashing around going on at the moment. We've got to approach the object. But anyway, we'll get into that in a minute.
We will, because we've got two massive games before Everton take to the field, of course. Everton have got to play Bournemouth, haven't they? And they've got to get a home win there. But first, before that, we've got Rangers taking on Celtic, and we've got West Ham taking on Tottenham Hotspur. And I've been having a look at the Beasts menu at the venue where Mr. Pochettino took out the entire staff and all the team. Place near Oxford Street, apparently. I've never been there, but it looks very nice, and I'm thinking I might pop over there. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon.
Well, I mean, this is a fantastic gesture of bonding, right?
Bonding,
this is a bonding exercise.
Yes.
So the Tottenham manager took 50 members of the staff out from Tottenham. Players, backroom staff, everybody, including the chairman, Mr. Daniel Levy, to eat at the Beast Restaurant, Oxford Street. I mean, this is select dining. You know, Oxford Street is the most famous shopping street in the world.
I don't agree with that.
Well, which one is that?
I would say the Champs-Élysées is more famous.
Champs-Élysées hasn't got a lot of shops in it.
Yeah, it's got loads of shops.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it has.
No, it's more cafes and bars
Rubbish.
and that kind of stuff.
No, you've got talking nonsense.
No, I'm not. I know the Champs-Élysées very well. I've walked up and down it
as
a
many
million
people
times.
have pointed out, most of the places you've ever been, in any part of any city, in any bit of the world, you've been in bars and restaurants. You haven't been in the shopping bit because you don't go shopping. You go drinking.
What's your favourite restaurant on the Champs-Élysées?
I don't have one.
Mine is Fouquet.
Is it?
Yes.
Right.
It's on the corner.
Are you sure? On which corner?
Well, halfway down.
It's typical of you. It's when we were in New York last week, right? I had to come and meet you because you were watching some of the football.
That's right.
And I was slightly delayed because I had to take care of some personal issues.
Yes, that's right.
At the hotel. And you said to me, here's your directions to me, right? He said, well, you know that bar we were in the other night? It's just down from there.
Yeah.
And I said, we've been in about 10 bars since we've been here, first of all. Second of all, in which direction?
Researching with fans, of course.
Yeah, no, filming videos and all that kind of thing. And I said, well, in which direction?
Yeah.
Well, it's just down a bit. Well, down what? You want south, north? I said, why don't you go outside, check the cross street, and it turned out to be 8th Avenue and 44th Street.
That's right, yeah.
But you didn't give me any sort of direction. So your directions to this place, what's the name of this restaurant? Fouquet.
Yeah.
Your directions to there are just down on the corner of the Champs-Élysées.
That's right, yeah.
Well, it's about 2 miles long.
Well, it is, yeah, but I'm telling you, there aren't a lot of shops there. It's mostly bars and restaurants, as opposed to Oxford Street.
Listen, here's what you could have had if you'd gone along to Maurizio Pochettino's dinner. You could have had mushroom and soy gyoza, which is only 10 quid. It's one of the cheapest starters,
Now,
right?
are you sure it's only 10 quid, or is it 10 quid per 100 grams? Because the Spanish steak was priced at £13 per 100 grams.
Yes, I know what I'm talking about. Okay? I go to a lot of restaurants.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
I tell that by looking at your body shape.
Yeah, well, that's because I don't smoke anymore, so I eat instead.
Oh, I see, that's the excuse.
So instead of nipping out for a cigarette, I have another course.
Yeah. Right, so go on.
How about some king crab and foie gras gyoza?
Yeah, what's that again?
King crab, foie gras gyoza.
No, you see, if I did that, I'd walk in there with a placard protesting, get rid of the foie gras.
Why?
Well, because it's cruel to rear ducks that way just to extend their livers to rich people
with more money than sense.
Well, what about ordinary pate? Can eat liver. Hey?
What about ordinary pate?
Well, Brussels coarse pate is not made from animal's liver or chicken liver or anything.
Really?
No, it's not.
What do you think it's made from?
Well, it has coarse bits put in it, so you don't use as much liver. That's what I'm saying.
It's not made from liver.
Well, you don't need to.
So you say liver pate is not made from liver?
It is made from liver, but what I'm saying is it's not pure, as in the foie gras. Now, the other thing there is you could have had the Norwegian king crab, which is £120 per kilogram. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is expensive food.
Well, not really. It's not in London, these are the kind of price you pay. The only
Excuse me, in Rochdale it'd be pretty expensive to pay £45 for a starter.
I've never been to Rochdale.
Yeah, I have.
When was the last time you went to Rochdale?
Have I been to Rochdale? I think I must have been to Rochdale at some stage.
What's your favourite restaurant in Rochdale?
In Rochdale, Fred's Diner.
Now, the only thing I would concede is quite expensive is the caviar, because that's £65.
Yes.
For 22 grams of caviar.
Right, okay.
But you also get some eggs, you get some chives, and some creme fraiche, and a couple of blinis.
Yeah. Do you think we should be talking about restaurants or football?
Well, this is where Spurs have been. This is their preparation for the big game.
It's true.
First of all, I'm going to say this about Spurs. 2 wins out of 5 for the so-called greatest manager that's ever been seen emerging from Argentina is not very good.
Yes.
You know, 8
you
points.
Don't think really he should have been in a restaurant with 50 members of the Spurs staff
what are they celebrating?
On Wednesday night.
Are they celebrating beating Borussia Dortmund at Wembley?
Well, I've no idea.
Are they celebrating ahead of their game in the Champions League against Apol Nicosia?
He's got a bit of class, Mr. Pochettino, because he also had shipped in a load of Argentinian wine.
Yes,
of course he is Argentinian.
There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the only expensive starter is Japanese Wagyu tataki with ponzu dressing.
Yes.
That'll cost you 45 notes.
Just for the starter?
Just for the starter.
See, for 45 quid, right, in somewhere like my hometown Chester, you could go
You could get a hotel.
No, you could
get dinner.
No.
You could get a
Not at
car
all.
to drive you around the town for 12 hours looking for anyone who was there. Because remember last night that picture came in.
Yeah,
there's nobody there.
Of the Dorchester of the North. Yeah. No, listen, a reasonable Burnley Inn, double room, 4-2, with a bit of dinner, 45 quid, no problem at all. That's how ordinary people live. I wish you'd get back to being an ordinary person.
I don't live in an ordinary city. I live in London, one of the most expensive cities in the world, right? So if I have to go out and spend 200 quid per head on food, which is what he's done, sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah, but footballers are big earners. And don't
you think it's a little bit kind of arrogant and slightly show-offy to take 50 people to dinner? I mean, that's not the sort of thing
I don't know. It's very generous. It's very generous. A lot of people who earn an awful lot of money do not usually spread their wealth like that.
Do you know why you like it? It's the kind of thing you would do, because it's the sort of thing that makes everybody notice you. Because Mauricio Pochettino would be going, I'll take the check. Just give me the check.
No, I doubt if he did. I regard Mr. Pochettino as quite a modest man, quite self-effacing.
Well, I thought he was until this episode.
Well, no, hang on.
He's taken 50 people out for dinner. It's cost him minimum 10,000 quid.
Well, good for him.
I think that's showing off.
I don't.
If I was a Spurs fan, I'd be saying I'd rather you were concentrating on getting them a few more points, which they don't currently have.
Yes, but he's explained it, and he did explain that I think it's a bonding mission. He said, with a highly charged clash against West Ham coming up today,
Argentinian Shiraz.
Mr. Pochettino said his team outing was aimed at integrating new signings and strengthening our side's steel for the battles ahead. He said you need time to create a good dynamic, not only tactics, but outside too. He said we had dinner in a restaurant in London with all the staff and players. I paid the bill at the end. That is true.
See what I mean? He's showing off.
The one time that I was invited. That is important because you prefer to say, shall we do tactics here in the morning, or would you prefer to go last night and put
have
all
some
the
foie
staff...
gras.
That's right, put all the staff, the players and the chairman too, in a restaurant. That, to me, is tactics too.
Right.
It is so important to work on the pitch, to know better in between, and to speak in a different way than we do on the pitch. It creates links between all of us emotionally.
All right.
So there you go.
So here's the result of his playing together emotionally. Played 5, won 2, drawn 2, lost 1. 8 points, not good enough. Chelsea are above them. Manchester United are above them. Newcastle United are above them.
Yes.
Okay, you don't see old Rafa Benitez taking them all out to the big market for foie gras, do you?
No, you don't. But I think you'll find that what he's done is he doesn't do this on a weekly basis. He's decided
he shouldn't be doing it at all.
Well, I think once again you're getting wild and explosive and erratic and shouting out these these demanding statements.
I'm not shouting.
You're starting to lose it a little bit, you know.
I'm not losing it. This is what you always say when you know you're losing the argument.
No, I don't.
You're trying to make out like I've gone mad.
No.
Like everybody knows which is the mad one between the two of us.
Yeah, but you see, sometimes you won't stop talking. You're getting garrulous.
Sometimes I won't stop talking.
You're getting garrulous.
Are you serious?
You've got like a bit
Have you looked in the mirror?
bit of verbal diarrhea, I think.
If I leave you alone for 5 minutes, you go gabbling off, doing all sorts of different shows.
Yes. Now, hang on. What I was going to say here is he's had a slow start to the season, and he's decided to take a reverse policy. Instead of, shouting about this and getting irritated and angry, I'm going to bind everybody together. I think it's a first-class sort of approach to the way that you can pull a team and an organisation together. Yes, I do.
Well, haven't seen any evidence of it yet. It's going to be now the jelly deals versus the foie gras down at London Stadium later on this afternoon. Yeah. Right? We want to hear from West Ham fans as well, because it's a bit of a must-win situation for West Ham. Tottenham need to do better. We want to hear from you. Would you like to give out the number?
Well, I'm going to give out the number, but I'm also going to ask the fans, whether they necessarily object to the manager dipping his hand in his own pocket and spending £10,000 on taking his squad out for dinner. I mean, only envy would dictate that there's something wrong with that. So I want to ask all of you out there, please, do you think it's terribly wrong? Give us a call, please. I will give you the non-mangled mouth version of the number, which is 08717 223344. Spurs fans, have you got any objections to your manager taking the players and the staff and the chairman even out for dinner ahead of such a big game? And West Ham fans, by the way, is the game bigger for you than it is for Spurs? Because let's face it, you've only just started a mini revival after a dreadful start to the season.
Well, let's see. And here's, I think, the best tweet of the day so far from Chris. Yeah. How does Parry know how normal people live with his expensive and extensive wealth? Maybe he knows what it's like from his underpaid cleaner.
But that is only a myth that you've spread around over the years.
You've got a housekeeper.
Everybody's got a housekeeper.
Everybody has not got a housekeeper.
Oh, OK, you say that, but we've spoken to some of the people who work here, some of the younger people who work here. They live in a house with friends. What's the one thing they now budget into their weekly living costs? A cleaner.
Oh, so you've just got a cleaner then?
Sorry?
So you haven't got a housekeeper?
I have.
Look at the state of you. You can't even make up your own mind what you've got.
I have a domestic. I have a domestic.
She's chained up in a dungeon or something.
I have a domestic staff person who
really
looks after things.
So you've got a housekeeper?
I have a housekeeper. Yeah, I have a housekeeper.
Thank you.
But I've got a lot of houses, so I've got a housekeeper.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Here's one from Gren who says, I think shouldn't Poch have done this before the start of the season to encourage team bonding, which is certainly true. How about this from somebody who's in Salford?
Yes.
So Jay in Salford, he said, Porky should realise people say they have a cleaner, they mean a Hoover or Brillo pads. Yes. What a snob.
Yeah, I'm not a snob at all. And although I've lost the communication now, somebody outraged citizen from Rochdale has said to you, please stop insulting Rochdale.
I didn't insult Rochdale.
It's a fine town.
I didn't insult it. I've never been there.
And I think the leading restaurant there is called Andrew's Nutter, isn't it?
No, Andrew Nutter is the name of the guy who owns the restaurant. I think he's a top chef.
Is he?
I think so, yeah.
Is he? Well, it could well be called Andrew Nutters. Andrew Nutters, not Andrew's Nutter. Not Andrew's a Nutter, no, if you see what I mean.
No, it would be called Andrew Nutter. Yes. In the same way that chefs at restaurants like Andrew Fairley is the guy that used to be the chef at Glen Eagles.
Joe Allen without an S on the end?
Yeah, or like Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
You don't call it Gordon Ramsay's.
No,
sounds like a fish and chip shop.
That's right, yeah. So
you've got no idea, have you?
So Andrew Nutter, the top restaurant in Rochdale, we might even get round there someday.
You never know. Yeah. Smoggy Aussie says, my housekeeper's gone on strike. She won't get me a beer. She's gone to bed with the kids.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I can't help you with your domestic arrangements, mate. We each has to look after our own, don't we?
And Matthias says, I have many houses. That says Mike Parry. Man above the people.
Yes, but hang on. I'm not trying to make out that, I've got a load of houses strung around the world like some rock star, like Paul McCartney or something. It's part of an investment portfolio, which I've been working on for decades.
Really?
That's all.
Well, that's nice. I'm very happy for him. I'm sure everybody else is as well. Ben says, with you all the way, Porky, a class gesture from Pochettino with the bonding dinner, the cost is irrelevant.
Yes, of course it is. Cost is irrelevant. Now then, whilst we're obviously not going to ignore the West Ham Spurs game, it's the early game today, we must also turn our attentions to other managers under pressure today. And one of them is my manager, Ronald Koeman. And I want to refer to a couple of pieces this morning, right? Yeah. Now, first of all, my mate Robbie Savage writes in his column in one of the newspapers this morning. I have actually, I have. But anyway, he's saying that, any Everton fan who's calling for Koeman's head has got to be mad. And I agree with that, but at the same time, Everton fans have a right to be concerned. You know, our expectations.
Koeman doesn't give off the aura of somebody who cares. I mean, we're jokingly playing out repeatedly that phrase that he said, but he did say, "I don't care."
Yeah.
You know, more or less, you know, wiping the fans' concerns away with one stroke.
People who are criticising me and saying that you started a bad season, I don't care, and then goes on to say I'm a very good manager.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mr. Savage says the table may not look good, but I've got no time at all for the clowns calling for Koeman to go. Well, I haven't actually heard anybody calling for Koeman to go, but Everton fans have every reasonable right to say, is the plan back on track? And that will be evidenced by what happens at Goodison today when Everton play Bournemouth. So that's point one. Point two.
Also, is there not an issue of confidence at this point with Everton? Because despite the fact that the season started with high hopes, you know, if you're playing for Everton now, you must be slightly worried that there's no goals going in really to speak of.
Yeah.
And it's all a bit difficult, mundane.
I think you've got to build on what we saw during the week. I know that Sunderland are not, they're not one of the best teams because they're in the Championship and they're struggling.
But they've got your mate Simon Grayson in the manager's seat.
Well, I said that Simon Grayson would struggle because it's a big club and a big job.
He was useless.
I didn't say that. I wasn't that rude. I said that I think he will struggle in the environment he's now in.
Yes.
But Mr. Koeman's going on about, we mustn't worry about it because I've had times like this before. He says, in fact, I had a very much more painful experience at Valencia.
Yes.
Well, fine, Mr. Koeman, you had a painful experience at Valencia. I don't care about Valencia. I don't care what went on there. I do not care. No, I want to know what we're doing here. And the other issue is...
what happened at Valencia anyway?
Well, apparently they got into terrible trouble. Dutchman learned greatly from his turbulent 5-month spell at Valencia nearly a decade ago, when he was caught in a vicious civil war involving the boards, fans and players. He was sacked by the Spaniards despite winning the Copa del Rey, as Valencia drifted towards the relegation zone, but says that unhappy time in La Liga taught him so much. He says...
Was that the time before... Do you remember they had the investment from the guy from the Far East?
That's right,
and then it all disappeared again.
That's right,
before Gary Neville went down there.
Oh, no, this is much further back.
No, I know.
Yeah,
so this is before the Japanese guy came
absolutely,
in.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I mean, the point I'm making is, now, the one bright element of a fairly dismal start to the season is, two. Rooney scored our 2 Premier League goals so far, and so that's great because it shows he's still got an eye for goal. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin, right, who is I think he's 20, and somebody told me that Rashford at Manchester United is younger than him even, and Rashford is being promoted as the great new hope. Now, young Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who we got from Sheffield United a couple of years ago, and is turning into a great player.
Big Sheffield derby this weekend, of course.
Big Sheffield derby, thank you for pointing that out. What I'm saying is, why would you even hesitate to say... we'll put him on the bench and then, we can bring him on. Yeah. Because you're giving the boy too much responsibility. If you start him and it doesn't work, you can take him off.
Yeah.
But if you put him on the bench and after 65 minutes, 0-0, and then you say, right, Dominic, get up there, then you're saying to the boy, at 20 years of age, you've got to go out and win that game for us now.
Well, you're also
which is very unfair.
Well, you're also giving him the opportunity to go out and win a game. I mean, that's how Marcus Rashford started at Man United.
Yes.
He started coming on and doing great things. He did it for England, in fact, in the Euros. Finally, when Roy Hodgson started bringing Rashford on, they actually looked like a proper attacking team.
Yeah.
And Everton maybe could be the team benefits more if he comes on as a substitute.
I don't think so.
If he starts,
I think he's got to start because I think Calvert-Lewin has now proved himself. He very nearly got a hat trick the other night, 2 great goals and then one flying header which hit the crossbar.
Yes,
and he's proved himself playing for other teams. He scored the goal that won the England under-20s, the equivalent of the World Cup.
Yeah.
So the boy's proved himself. He's a young, fantastic prospect, and in my view, should be given a start today. And if you say to me, where does that put Rooney? Where does that put everybody else in the team? That's not my job. That's
Rooney's
Mr.
put
Koeman's
himself
job.
in a rather difficult position anyway, hasn't he? Because, Koeman presumably is so disappointed with Rooney, he doesn't really want to play him, but you can't drop him because they made such a big song and dance about bringing him back.
Well, I'm not going to try and second-guess Mr. Koeman on that. I don't think Wayne Rooney was ever thinking he would be guaranteed a start in every game this season anyway. So, but, that's for him to sort out, not me.
Now, here's an extraordinary tweet from Angel,
who
says, Spurs should celebrate every day, as it will be another 20 years before they finish above Arsenal. I really don't think that's true.
No, that's
I think
true
given the way Arsenal have started the season, I think you'd be very, very lucky to finish above Spurs. Tottenham fans have to be concerned that after 5 games, Mauricio Pochettino, this brilliant manager, has only won 2 games. I don't think it's good enough.
Well, he's had a slow start to the season. That happens. If you think about it, Chelsea, who are the current Premier League title holders, had a very slow start to last season.
Well, they had a pretty slow start to this season. They lost their first game to Burnley.
Yeah, they did,
But they're still third with 10 points, 2 points ahead of Tottenham. Newcastle United are above Spurs.
I know, it's amazing.
Do you know what I mean? They had a
that
slow
won't
start
last
to
long,
the
though,
season.
will it, obviously?
Well, I don't know. That's the point. I want to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
08717 22 33 44. The other massive game, of course, this weekend up in Scotland at Ibrox. Peter Martin is with us now because Rangers take on Celtic for the first Old Firm derby of the season. Yep. Peter, a very good morning to you. How's it all looking?
Good morning to you, lads. Well, all the crowds are now heading to Ibrox, getting ready for the first Old Firm encounter of the season. No surprise that the champions on this 56-game unbeaten run domestically are red-hot favourites to win this one. In some bookmakers, I think you can get as close to evens for Celtic to win it at Ibrox, which is, something that would have been unheard of 20 years ago.
Absolutely right. And, I mean, it's an early kick-off, I presume, so that everybody can go on the lash afterwards, and by the time sort of 6 o'clock rolls around, they'll all be in their beds.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I think it's an early kick-off for you too, Mike. You know exactly what it's all about. It's safety. Get them home. Get them home safe. And some people want to lock themselves up for a good few hours after it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, Brendan Rodgers, of course, has been very much at the forefront of the news down here in the last week or so. People saying, can he come back to the Premier League? Does it really
Which he
matter?
says will never happen, but he felt like talking about it anyway.
Yeah, does it really matter what his achievements are in Scotland? 56 games unbeaten. I mean, he must be getting a bit frustrated, mustn't he?
No, he's not frustrated in any capacity whatsoever. I think the general consensus up here is that there doesn't need to be any kind of a justification, acceptance or rating from anyone in English football. Quite simply, Brendan Rodgers is up here to do a job for Celtic. I think eventually he will get a job back down south again. But the bigger problem for people in Scotland is they know exactly where Scottish football is in the rankings in Europe. A lot of European clubs face the same problem. English Premier League is rich with money, and everybody else just has to get on with what they have at their disposal.
That's right. But, Peter, what is... you said Brendan Rodgers will probably get a job back in England. That's almost certainly true. He's using Celtic as a stepping stone, which I do not criticise him for, because he's gone up there, and even teams like Celtic fall occasionally to smaller teams. So he's done a brilliant job in the consistency of it all. But, as you quite rightly said, the benchmark of how well Celtic do compared to teams in other nations comes in the Champions League, and that's been a disaster, hasn't it? So you wonder whether this season's experiment to elevate themselves above their tremendous domestic record is already under question.
Well, it's a disaster if your expectations are through the roof. And the Celtic fans and most of the people in Scotland don't view it as a disaster. When Manchester City came calling last year, after Celtic had been battered by Barcelona, which many a club can get, they took on Manchester City, a 3-3 draw, a 1-1 draw. I think they gained a lot of respect from that. What he's done now after a year is he's built the side. They're better than last year, and they know that their bag is against Anderlecht midweek on Wednesday. If they can get 4 points from those two games, Brendan Rodgers knows Celtic will be playing in the Europa League after Christmas. That's their aim. That's their realistic aim.
Yeah, sure. No, I
think that's a very good aim. And as we've often said, just the mere fact of getting into the knockout stage of the Champions League is a massive achievement for a team like Celtic.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you consider that Celtic have posted, the results with about £7 million of profit for the year, it's incredible and how important Champions League football is to them. And when you consider, £500 million for Manchester United and their financial results, you can see the gulf in every club. So they have to punch above their weight. Everybody knows that. But every now and then, the Celtic fans they get a wee special night where Celtic punch above their weight and produce special performances. I only have to mention Barcelona and things like that can happen. You get the odd knockout punch, but realistically, Celtic fans want to be at the table. If somehow they could open up extra revenue that would strengthen their side, they'd love that, but it's not going to happen in the immediate future.
No, well, actually, Peter, I've been to quite a few Old Firm games. I've been to both Ibrox and I've been to Celtic, and I've mixed with Celtic people. My colleague Alan Brazil still holds the record for scoring goals for Celtic Boys Club and that kind of stuff. And you know what? I find Celtic fans really don't think long-term further, really, than the game today. And they don't. What they say is, we can only beat what's put in front of us. As long as we win today and get 3 points, that's fine. As long as we win next week and get 3 points, that's fine. Do you see what I mean? Their ethos is winning. They're don't really care that other people say, well, you're supposed to beat everybody in the league. It's important to do the job and win anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, at the end of the day, the criticism has come, and it's very difficult when you're the pauper looking in on the riches of it, of what's on offer in English football. What they have to do is deal with what they've got. It's a very strong Celtic side in Scotland.
Yep.
Will they defeat Rangers today? I think the odds are saying to you that they should beat them by a couple of goals, if not more, because this is a poor Rangers side. It's not great, and the manager is under immense pressure. Whether he can hold on to his job until the end of October, in my mind, is the bigger question.
He's not a great communicator, that guy,
That's
is he?
incredible, isn't it? Imagine getting fired before Christmas.
Right.
I mean, I know it's happened already to Frank de Boer, but up at Rangers, it's going to be a nightmare. Massive game. Gets underway in about 20 minutes. Peter, thank you very much indeed.
You, Peter.
Another massive game, of course, at London Stadium between West Ham, the Jelly Deals Brigade, and the Foie Gras Brigade.
That's right.
Coming in from Oxford Street, Tottenham Hotspur. Alex is a Spurs fan. Alex, very good morning to you. What do you think?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm fairly worried about today, to be fair.
No, I think it should be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, going forward, we've got a tough season ahead of us. I think it's a bit of a strange time to be a Tottenham fan. I think that we've got some of the, arguably some of the best talent in Europe within our team, and moving into a new stadium, biggest club stadium in London. These are things that we'd only dream of as a Tottenham fan a few years ago. But I think we're now at a point where holding on to some of these players is going to be really tough in terms of the wages. We just can't compete with some of the other big clubs in Europe.
And the fact that the club will need money, big money, to complete the deal on the ground. It's doubled in expectation cost to about like $750 million. And Mr. Levy, likes to turn a penny or two in transfer deals when it matters.
He does, and I think that, to be fair, I think it's going to mean that one of our big players is going to have to leave. If it means that's how we fork up a bit of money to pay some good wages to some of our key players. To be fair, I would be happy. Well, I wouldn't be happy, but I would take it if we let Ali go for 150 million, and it meant that we had that in our pocket that we could then fork out for some decent wages for the likes of Kane, Alderweireld, Hugo Lloris. I think I would take that bargain.
But isn't that just continuing what's been going before, though, Alex? Whenever you get a player that's worth a lot of money, somebody comes in for him, it goes, and then the whole cycle starts again, which leaves Tottenham always in the same kind of spot, treading water.
Yeah, I think the only difference is, I think now, is that we really do have a complete squad, more so than we've ever had in the past. I think now we've really got a team that, from top to bottom, can compete with any other team in the English league. And I think that is the one difference. We do, of course, have some really standout players that eventually, I think, in their careers probably will go on to some of the big clubs like Barcelona and Real Madrid. But we really do have a top-to-bottom team that is of quality now, and that's the first time that I can say that as a Tottenham fan.
That's right. Take note of Monaco, because they had a fantastic team, right? But because their players were able to achieve the heights they want to at that club, that might happen to Tottenham players, and the team might break up, and that would be a tragedy, because you have got a very competent team.
We do, and I think that I think the manager is going to be a massive influence on hopefully keeping hold of some of these players as well. He's such a fantastic manager, and I'm hoping that some of these players have really bought into this new ethos that the team have and the potential that we do have moving forward. But I think it's also about Daniel Levy kind of changing his mindset a little bit and looking at seriously contending for some of these titles. It means that we can't be as tight as we have been in the past. If we look at our net spend compared to somebody, well, even Arsenal, you look at Arsenal, and a lot of people complain that they're a bit tight in the transfer window. They don't spend a lot of money, but compared to us over the last couple of years, in terms of net spend, I think we spent about 20 million net spend over the last couple of years. I mean, if we really do want to hold on to some of these players, they're going to want to see some new talent come in that are of quality.
Good old Bruce Springsteen. Did you see that he was in New York with Paul McCartney? They did a duet of I Saw Her Standing There together, which I'm sure would have been something to see.
And that happened on the Friday before we did our show, just down the road at the City Winery, because it is just down the road from the Garden.
From the Garden, yes.
On the Saturday. So Sir Paul McCartney chose not to perform on the same night as us in New York. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. Absolutely staggering stuff. Anyway, is it his birthday or something? Is that why we're playing Bruce Springsteen?
Bruce Springsteen, 68, okay? Now, he's a musician. musician whose birthday is really worth celebrating.
He
okay,
certainly is, yeah.
I'm not saying that.
You got any of his albums?
I'm not saying that Jerry Marsden's isn't, but
I've actually got a great thing from Pete here. He
Yeah.
tweeted in saying, "Can we please play You'll Never Walk Alone every week?"
Yeah,
for
okay.
Porky.
Yeah, in that case, I would break a few microphones in the process.
would
Yeah,
you?
don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about it.
How
How many Bruce Springsteen albums have you got?
Well, I've only got the one.
Which one? Is it his greatest
I think
hits?
it's Born in the USA.
Hey?
Born in the USA.
You've got Ball in the USA.
Yeah,
have
the
you?
album.
Yeah.
Is that a picture of him wearing jeans with a glove in his pocket?
It's not a glove, it's a bandana.
A bandana, that's right.
Stars
yeah.
and Stripes.
That's Stars and Stripes, that's it. Yeah, Born in the USA.
It might be. It might be. I don't actually have that album because this was the album I thought where he went bad. All his good stuff was before this.
Oh, really? You think that? Like a purist, are you, with Bruce Springsteen?
Well, I've seen
he
Bruce
got
Springsteen.
too populist, did he, for you?
No, he didn't get too popular. He just stopped writing really, really great songs. He's
Really?
still pretty good, and he wrote some great albums more recently. But he went Born in the USA. I thought was his worst
Don't
period.
you like Dancing in the Dark?
Not really.
This gun's for hire.
No, because
That's
you know what
why
happened.
I'm dancing
he went
the dark.
He went all Hollywood because you know the video for Dancing in the Dark. Where
Yes.
he's got the woman that comes up on the stage.
That's right,
You
yeah.
know that's all fixed, don't you?
Well, yeah, of course it is. It was a video. I mean, you don't think that would have happened naturally, do you?
Well, if you actually knew anything about music, you do go to concerts and spontaneous things can happen.
Yeah, well, they
but
can,
in that
yeah.
case, it
Yeah.
did not happen because
Yeah.
the woman who was brought up on stage was later the star of Friends.
Yes, okay.
Of course.
Yeah, well, that's
You didn't know that, did you?
historical. Yeah, well, I know it now, don't I?
And I saw Bruce Springsteen at Brighton Arena.
Did you?
Brighton Pavilion, rather, on the River Tour.
Yes.
which
Was
is
he any
brilliant.
good?
Fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
He was renowned for playing for 2.5 hours, which in those days nobody did.
Well, I think's odd. He's 68 and Jerry Marsden's 75, and we
Yeah.
celebrated both their birthdays on the show this morning.
And you would
But
think there'd be more
I was about to
distance
say,
between them,
I was
wouldn't
about to say, only 7 years between them.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Marsden was famous in 1963.
Yeah.
You know, singing "Ferry Across the Mersey."
Yeah.
And I never
Well, he
heard of
must have
Bruce
been very young.
Springsteen till about 1980.
Yeah, well, Springsteen kind of burst onto the scene in Britain, I would
Yes.
say, 1975.
Right,
He
okay.
came to play Hammersmith Odeon.
Right.
With the Born to Run album.
Yes, that's right.
You know, tramps like us.
Champs like us, that's good. Now then, I've got a message here. It says, careful MG, you might give Porky the idea that he has to take all the staff out at Talk Sport. Can you imagine the lot of you in Wetherspoons and picking up the bill for £22?
Yes.
It's a bit harsh, isn't
that
it?
would be right, yeah. Now, you might remember a few weeks ago, we revealed that Rob and his kids had won a fantastic game of football. They're playing for the under-11s at Welshpool.
Oh, yes.
Right? And the boys are Ethan and Nathaniel.
Yes.
So we're going to try and keep track of their season so far. They're doing better than Spurs, I think, because he says he sent us one today saying, my boys Ethan and Nathaniel won today's match 8-3 after being 3-0 down at half-time.
Blimey, that's quite a comeback.
That is a great comeback,
It
isn't
certainly is, yeah.
And one here
Yeah.
from who I don't have a name. It's, good morning,
Yeah.
Porky and MG. Could you give a big shout out to your newest and youngest listener, Baby Freddie, 6 hours old?
Yes.
From Windy in Leeds.
Yeah, well, Windy or Wendy?
Well, he says Windy.
Windy, okay. Well, that might be a misspelling or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember, a few weeks ago on this very show, I think it was just before we went off to Manhattan, I said to you, you know, Croydon is the British Manhattan. We were talking about the fact that Crystal Palace were having a poor time, but I said, well, you know, there's many good things about where Crystal Palace is, including Croydon, the
I don't think there's anything good about
Manhattan.
Croydon, to be honest.
And you roundly mocked me.
Yeah,
and
well, because
said,
Croydon's a horrible place.
well, I don't think it is. I think there's plenty of good things about Croydon.
Like what?
Well, I'm about to tell you about what, okay, because in one of my architectural journals this morning, I have discovered a plan for a new building which will be the second tallest building in this country after the Shard, which is just, maybe half a mile from us here in London, up in the by London Bridge in the City of London.
That's right.
And guess where the second biggest building in this country is going to be built?
I don't know.
Croydon. Yes, Croydon. Yes. How about that?
Well, why are they building it there?
They're building it there because they've raised money from overseas investors and they think it's a great place to build it. And I have to say, what an exciting prospect it will be for me to live just a few miles away from this monumental building, which is quite simply staggering.
I thought you said you lived in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
I do.
No, you're now telling me you live in Croydon.
Well, no.
You live in Croydon?
No, I do not live in Croydon,
Yes,
or
you do.
anywhere near Croydon, but a few miles south of me, I could enter the borough of Croydon and go and see what will be Britain's...
South of you?
Yes, south of me,
Sure,
yeah.
don't mean north of you.
Arrival to the Shard
Hang
in
on,
Croydon,
excuse me.
Britain's second tallest building, is to be
You've now
built in...
found the piece, have you?
I was here in my architectural
Oh,
journal.
sorry, I just thought you were
What are
just
worried about?
stalling, talking rubbish.
Of
You
course
said
I'm
you
not.
live south of... You say you live north of Croydon.
Yes.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Hang on. No, I live south of Croydon. Sorry, I live south of Croydon. Just remembered.
You've seen the time.
And
you just remember because you need to know that when you can make your way home.
Yeah. Britain's second tallest buildings to be built in Croydon.
You just told me all this.
Here.
Go on.
Which briefly became the skyscraper capital of Europe in the late 60s. How about that?
Do me a favour.
The council hopes the completion of the 68-storey Lansdowne Road.
Yeah.
One Lansdowne Road. What's Lansdowne Road famous for?
Well, it's famous for football, isn't it?
It's the Irish national ground. By 2021, will attract new visitors to the South London borough, if only to visit the continent's highest bar and restaurant. So that's somewhere we've got to go to.
Well, how high is it going to be?
Very high. The £350 million project has a glass-bottom swimming pool and 794 flats. It's been designed by Piers Goff.
Who?
Piers Goff.
Who's he?
He's from ZZWG, and the 236-metre main tower, only 74 metres shorter than the Shard at London Bridge, is a supposed reference to Henry Matisse's famous cutouts depicting feminine forms. I'll show you a picture of it. It's a fantastic building. Look.
That's going to look ridiculous in Croydon.
No, it's not. It's going to put us on the map.
Well, hang on. There's a restaurant in the Shard, right, which is about 35 floors up.
Yeah.
So you're telling me they're going to have one that's taller?
They're going to have one that's higher.
Really?
They're going to have one that's higher.
Who's going to want to go to Croydon for dinner?
Well, lots of people when this building's completed.
Mauricio Pochettino's not going to take his Spurs staff down to Croydon, is he?
No, I know,
for a nice
but
meal out.
this is about looking forward. This is about the fantastic
so
developments.
Croydon?
Well, I mean, that's.
Do you know who's from Croydon? Don't you?
Kate Moss,
Roy Hodgson.
Oh, yeah, Roy Hodgson.
No, Kate Moss is not from Croydon. She's from Streatham.
She's not. She's from Croydon.
She's from Streatham.
I can promise you she's from Croydon. And her mother still lives there.
Does she?
How about that?
All right. Have you seen her recently?
Haven't bumped into her recently. No.
A couple of things to mention to you, though. Frank says, listening in North Cyprus, and we'll have my 65th on Monday. Any chance of a shout-out? The podcasts are keeping me entertained.
Indeed. What's the guy's name? Frank?
Frank, yes.
OK, Frank, very happy 65th, spending it in Cyprus. I wonder if he's bumped into old Azil Nadir.
Mr. Polly Peck?
Yeah, Mr. Polly Peck.
Did he not come back?
He did, actually. He did come back.
I don't think he's there anymore.
No, I think he's in jail, isn't he?
I think he might be.
He came back, faced the music.
It was so long ago, he's probably come back, gone to jail, and now gone back out there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's probably served about 3 years or something.
Yeah.
Or 18 months or whatever and gone back out there.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that your comparison of Manhattan and Croydon is so way off, it's not even worth mentioning.
That's ridiculous. A
couple of people, one guy said he was working there last week, Jason, and what his tweet says about the place is too rude to read
My
out.
architectural journals say Croydon, which briefly became the skyscraper capital of Europe in the late 1960s.
Yeah, but it's rubbish, though.
It's not nonsense, it's actual fact. So don't call it nonsense when it's there in black and white print.
It depends on your definition of a, quote, skyscraper, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, really, no.
Well,
skyscraper's a tall building, actually. That's why they call them skyscrapers.
Yes, I know that, but a skyscraper in New York City is a building of normally about sort of 60 to 70 stories.
I would say that's about right.
There are no buildings of that height in Croydon. Because, they might have what they call a skyscraper in Croydon, but it's no higher than about 30 stories.
Yeah, but there soon will be, because this is 68 stories.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that.
I wonder who came up with the expression skyscraper, and I wonder if they ever...
I believe it's an American term.
Yeah, of course it's an American term. I wonder if they ever, got the rights to it, you see what I mean?
Well, I wouldn't have thought so.
Skyscraper.
Now, I've come across...
It's like splashdown.
But that's a very specific word, isn't it?
What?
You can't use it for anything other than coming back from space.
No, that's right.
Into the sea.
Well, I sometimes use it descriptively to say to people, and
when you
finally...
get thrown out of Wetherspoons.
No. And finally I splashed down and sorted it all out. You know what I mean?
That's a horrible word. No. Now, let me tell you something. I was handed on my way into the show this morning a piece of a postcard which was sent to you by a man by the name of Matthew, who's also included his phone number, and it says this. Dear Postman Pork, now that you're so lean, having lost all that weight, I'd like to invite you to stay at my villa in Portugal. It's in the exclusive Quinta do Lago, which is not contaminated with the great unwashed. I'm sure you'd love it here. The invite is an open one. Yeah. All the best, Matthew.
Yeah, that's very kind.
Now,
I
don't know why he likes the idea of inviting you now that you've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, well,
I don't know what that means.
Perhaps I look more lean and, fit the scene on the beach.
Waste of time you're going to Quinta do Lago, though.
Why?
Because it's all about golf down there.
And has he invited invited both of us, Matthew, has he?
He says it's an open invitation. I don't know what that means.
No, but I think it's addressed to me, isn't it? I think it's specifically
it's addressed
an
to
invitation to me. Yeah, well, exactly. That's me. Yeah. So I think you're excluded on this one, pal.
Well, to be honest, I don't want to go, mate.
What do you mean
I don't like
go?
taking invites from strange men that I don't know
who
say things like, now that you've lost all that weight, why don't you come down and hang out with me in Kinton Largo?
Yeah, I have to admit that
you can play a couple of rounds of golf.
Slightly puzzling. By the way, could I just say that if our friend in Sarasota, in Florida, is listening... Naomi.
She sent us the pens.
Yes, Naomi sent us those.
And you, unfortunately, due to your vast greed, made a terrible blunder and stole the cheaper pen.
No, I didn't.
Thinking it was more expensive.
No, I didn't.
And also snookered away all the refills.
No, I didn't. No,
she sent 2 refills, 2 pens. You gave me 1 pen.
Well, I'm sorry about that. But anyway, just to say to Naomi, she's listening now to the podcast.
Yes.
We have sent back the birthday card and a few other thank you notes to say how generous it was of you to give us such a lovely present. Thank you very much. It's on the way.
Okay.
I mean, it is a bit of a problem that the birthday was last month, and I fell
also the
behind
fact
a bit
that
on the paperwork.
You opened up the Post Report box
yes.
while I was away.
I did.
And as with everything you did while I was away, you made a complete dog's breakfast of it.
No.
And it wasn't until I came back that we managed to find the card, we managed to find the letter,
No.
we managed to find all the things that she'd sent instead of just the stuff you thought was great.
No, we had 2 lovely presents, and I wasn't going to announce that publicly until you came back so that I could give you a present on air, which I did. So you should stop moaning now because you've now got a wonderful pen because of our friend Naomi.
Yeah.
So it all worked out well in the end.
Jim says this.
All's well that ends well.
Porky is truly the voice of reason. I'm so pleased that he now remembers where he lives. Hashtag lost in Croydon.
Yeah, well, that's...
It's easy to get lost in Croydon, actually.
No.
And here's one from Mr. Mojo, who says, I live 4 miles from Croydon and have been going there all my life. Once you get used to it, it's a great hub for multiculturalism.
Well, it's also...
There you go. You like a bit of multiculturalism,
yeah,
don't you?
It's got great restaurants and bars and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
So
can you name the last great restaurant you went to in Croydon?
No. Yes, I can. The Slug and Lettuce.
The Slug and Lettuce?
Yes, yeah. No, it's very good. It's very good.
Well, it's fine. It's a chain.
No, it doesn't matter. It's still good.
You know, the Slug and Lettuce is all over the place.
Yeah, but the Slug and Lettuce in Croydon
it's not a great restaurant.
Probably a bit more upmarket than the Slug and Lettuce in Hartlepool. You see what I mean?
Well, why are you slagging off Hartlepool
I'm not
now?
slagging off Hartlepool. There's nothing wrong with
Sounds
Hartlepool.
like it.
But what they do is these restaurants usually reflect the level of expectancy of those around. Now, listen,
I used to know a girl from Hartlepool worked for the Daily Express.
Oh, really?
And when it was her 10th wedding anniversary,
yes.
do you know what she gave her husband for a present?
No.
A bust of her bust.
A bust of her bust?
She had a...
weird, isn't it?
It's very weird.
Yeah,
she
exactly.
had a sculptor come in and make a plaster cast.
If she didn't like him very much anymore and said, don't, come anywhere near you, cop for that or something
No, she
like
thought
that.
it was a great present. Also, unbelievably, you're winning, I think, 3-2 is the correct score for the 1 Minute Moan.
And 4-1 in the other competition.
In any way, well, hang on, you just got 1.5 out of 10 in the quiz about Sheffield, just to reconnect the balance. You know why that is the case? Because it's not gerrymandered.
No.
Whereas you've got an Everton supporting producer here, right? Who gives you the 1 Minute Moan just because you support Everton as well.
Not at all.
You've also got the Porky tribe who vote for you in winners and losers.
In vast
can't
help
numbers.
being popular.
Because, no, you can't, but not necessarily judgment is entering that particular thing.
Well, listen, I tell you what, because I'm leading, right, and I usually start. I'm going to let you start today, okay?
Okay. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I want you to go first.
Okay,
so, is the clock master there? Okay, clock master, 3, 2, 1.
The Clockmaster, welcome. Thank you very much indeed. Now, it has to be, my 1 Minute Moan has to be about the Football Association. Now, well, first of all, they used to employ you, which tells me that their judgment is severely in question, and always has been. But this latest debacle is really taking the biscuit for me. I mean, not only have they fired a guy who they approved of 2 years before, who it's been revealed this morning is going to take them to task because he claims wrongful dismissal. And I'll tell you what, he's absolutely right. He's aggrieved at losing his job because the so-called personal matters that led him to be sacked, he was cleared for. He was given an full investigation by the FA Safeguarding Unit 2 years ago. He now believes, and he's quite right to think this, that he has a very, very strong case. This guy will take a bucket load of money money, a wheelbarrow full of money out of the Football Association. They're going to have a meeting on Monday, which is not going to resolve anything. Time to get rid of them.
OK, that's your moan, yeah?
That's my moan.
Oh, it's very predictable. Yeah.
Was it?
Very predictable, yeah.
OK, well, have you got one about cheese or something?
I've got a much better one.
OK. Well, it's time for Mike Parry's 1 minute moan. Clockmaster, away you go.
Now, I'm fed up to the back teeth and I want to vomit and throw up over recipe books, OK? Cookery books, they are. Cookery books, OK? Yeah.
Really? How many have you got?
That is relevant. The reason why is because Nigella Lawson, who is the domestic goddess, has just brought out her 11th cookery book, OK?
Yeah, that's what she does.
And this cookery book has 4 pages on how to make mashed potato. Right, I don't need to buy a cookery book to be told how to make mashed potato.
You just buy the packet, right?
I do. I buy a packet of Smash and put butter and water in it. The other thing I do not need to be told is how to roast a carrot. So you've got 2 pages on roasted carrots, OK?
Right.
4 pages on mashed potato, 2 pages on what she calls the toasted brie, parma, ham and fig sandwich.
Yes.
It's a ham and cheese toasty,
right.
OK? Another page on the whipped
Somebody
feta,
forced you to buy this book,
I haven't bought it yet, but I'm not going to buy it because it's to me, it's all far too obvious. What about a page on chili cheese garlic bread? You know, what do you put in that? It's easy. You slice a piece of bread and you mix butter, salt, cheese, garlic and mozzarella and you wrap it in foil. I'm not having it. No more cookery books for me.
You got over the limit.
Marky says, loving the fact that Souness got stiff with the £4 bill. That's rather harsh.
He's probably carried it with him ever since, actually.
You know, I think it should be Mr. Souness, you know. Show a bit of respect there, please.
Well, you could call him the Sky Mob. You know, shocking. By the way, today, because of his acute embarrassment over the last few weeks, Ross, the producer, has handed over judgment of the 1 minute moan to the Clockmaster.
I know.
And the Clockmaster
doesn't know on which side his bread is buttered.
Well, the Clockmaster is untainted by the Everton shall we say, insider trading.
Yes.
And he has come out with what can only be described as a magnificent verdict. I am the winner of this week's 1 minute moan.
Yeah, but it was so predictable.
It
You
was
see,
a very good
Clockmaster's
moan.
got no sense of imagination. He wouldn't
Well,
know.
he's a Spurs fan.
He wouldn't know a good 1 minute moan from a bad minute moan.
Well,
you know, I mean,
well, at least he's not biased, though.
Well,
so that brings it to 3-3, I think, doesn't it?
3-3, yeah.
Very exciting stuff. Now,
0-0
half-time score up at Rangers Celtic. I've got a bit of a mini quiz for you.
Okay.
Before we leave the building, all right?
I'll just read you out one quick one about our respective 1 minute moans.
Yeah.
Did Porky say you mix water, garlic, cheese and mozzarella? When was the latter ostracised from the cheese family? I see. Cheese and mozzarella are both cheeses. He's making the point of.
Well, no, cheese is not cheese, is it?
No, but
cheese is a catch-all term for cheese.
Yeah, but mozzarella's included.
It's mozzarella, by the way.
Mozzarella. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, at least people are responding to my 1 minute moan. We haven't had one single communication about yours because it was so blinking predictable.
There's been plenty,
and we've been talking about it for the last week.
No, you just can't find them. Yeah, you're not exactly
right,
the
now what's
master
this quiz
of
you want to
social
give me?
I want to find out how much wisdom you have.
Well, I won't take long, mate. Don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about it, and please don't call me mate. It's worse than pal.
Oh, yes.
It's liable to get you a smack in the gob.
No,
now, Mr. Dilip Jest, who is Professor of Psychiatry at the University of California in San Diego, says that wisdom is made of 6 different qualities, okay? Now, I don't believe that you have any of these. The first one...
great wisdom.
Well, hang on. Do you have any of these qualities? Emotional control, I would say no.
Oh, absolutely. No, I've got complete emotional control. I haven't cried for 50 years.
No, you don't cry. You said you've never cried.
No, I've never
Therefore,
cried.
You have no emotions. So it's not emotional control you have.
Emotional control.
Emotional incontinence is what you have. What about a knack for giving good advice? You don't give anybody advice.
I do.
Apart from telling people to get lost.
No.
Any advice you ever give?
No, I give sage advice to younger people, particularly in my profession, who I try to help, and they can learn from my experience. You know, I've hit the highs and hit a few lows, and I steer them through life.
Really? What about pragmatism?
Pragmatism.
You are not a pragmatist.
Honestly, my middle name is Pragmatic.
Mike Parry Pragma.
No, Porky the Pragmatic. I used to be known as.
Really?
Not really,
true?
no, but I could be.
No, I don't think so. What about tolerance of diversity?
Yeah, I'm into diversity in a huge way. I mean, if you don't have a diverse world, you ain't got a world. As far as I'm concerned, diversity is it.
How about self-understanding? I mean, nobody can understand you. You can't even understand yourself.
Self-understanding.
You don't even know where you live.
No, I know exactly where I live, and self-understanding is a hugely important asset to have in life, and I understand myself perfectly.
Right.
I know exactly when to press the go button, when to put my foot on the brake, and when to bail out.
Right, excellent. You're not driving a Spitfire, though. That's the problem. Here's the ability to handle ambiguity and uncertainty. You're not very good
definitely.
at that.
I'm very good at that.
No, you're not very good at that. You hate that.
No, what I do is, and I can answer this one perfectly, if you don't hit life's problems head on, if you don't grab life's problems by the neck and throttle the negative out of the problem to bring in a positive, then life will dictate you on its terms, but you have to dictate life on your terms.
Okay.
That's the only way to do it.
Well, let's get to the tiny questionnaire, okay? I'm going to ask you 6 questions, and I want you to answer...
I thought you'd already asked me all the questions.
No, those are the 6 things you need to have wisdom. Now I'm going to find out exactly how much wisdom you have.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you agree with the following?
Right.
5 being you agree very strongly.
Okay.
1 being you disagree very strongly. Okay?
Right.
I enjoy being exposed to diverse viewpoints.
5. Very strongly.
So you're just going to try and answer them the way you think they should be answered, because that's the kind of creep you are.
No.
Question number 2.
Yes.
I have a difficult time keeping friendships.
No, that's a 1.
Yeah, that is a 1.
I don't have any... No, it's
You
sorry.
haven't got any friends.
No, but I'm saying I do not have a difficulty keeping friends. I have a select band of friends who are very loyal to me.
No, you don't.
And I'm loyal to them.
No. Well, the answer is, do you agree with it or not agree with it? I have a difficult time keeping friendships.
I don't agree. So is that 5? That's a 5 then.
No,
I don't agree.
It's a 1.
Well, it's a 1 then. It's a 1.
No, all right, it's a 5.
5.
Question number 3. It is important that I understand my actions.
That's a 5, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 4. I cannot filter my negative emotions. Now that is definitely an agreement. That's a 5 for you.
No, hang on. What do you say?
I cannot filter my negative emotions. You're the most negative person I know.
I totally disagree.
Everything you do is negative.
No.
Everything you say is negative.
Negativity.
Everything you think is negative.
Negativity is not in the Porky dictionary.
Really?
Yeah.
I tend to postpone making major decisions as long as I can.
Absolute rubbish.
Really?
Utter rubbish.
So that's a 1, is it?
I face every situation head on, and I've told you, I strangle the negativity and the indecision out of life's throat, okay? It doesn't strangle me.
That's such a nice way of putting it as well.
Yeah.
Others look to me to help them make choices.
Yes, absolutely. I am often sought out for advice by people from all areas of life.
Yes. Okay, now, so for every question 1, 3 and 6, you give yourself a plus. Let's see, so that gives you plus 5, that's plus 10, that's plus 15. And for the negative, tot up the total score. For every point on the other questions, give yourself a minus. So then you've got minus 5, and then you've got another minus 5, and you've got another minus 5. So you've actually got 0 is your total score, okay?
Right.
Now, here's what it says. Less than 8, you have much to learn, young grasshopper. 8 to 10, you are wiser than the wind, but not so wise as the stones. So basically, you've got no wisdom at all, it says here.
That's rubbish.
You got 0.
You added up.
No,
you added
you got
them up
0.
wrong. You added.
It's
you
0.
kept giving me marks from the opposite end of the scale to which I was responding, because you are a half-baked.
That's not true.
And you couldn't understand my answers.
It would not describe you in this particular test as a
you
wise man.
You are dismissive of all sorts of people in life. You don't help anybody. You never care for anybody.
I care for
you
loads
don't
of
pass
people.
anything on. That rubbish.
I have 4 children whom I care for. I have 4 children who come to me for advice.
Yeah.
I have all sorts of relatives who come to me for advice.
You
live on an island of one. As I've said to you many times before, you will end up on your own in a room with nobody anywhere near you because you've alienated everyone.
You're nothing better than a shambling bagman.
Really? And you're the bag.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM, the warm-up with the 2 mics on Talk Sport.
I don't care.